Boxing Truth here. Just want to bang out a quick prediction video for a fight I'm more intrigued by on the HBO card, which is the main event between Matthysse and Tewa Kiram. I'm looking forward to this fight. In terms of the action, I think the styles will mesh well. Of course, most boxing fans don't know who Tewa Kiram is. I didn't either before he was announced as Matthysse's opponent. But of course, I always do my research on opponents I do not know. I always check out a few of their fights. And after checking out the footage of Kiram, his style, the opponents he's fought, I think this is a legitimate fight for Matthysse. I think it's a real fight. I think it's a it's a real test for him to see where he's at in his career now that he's 35 years old, and this is pretty much his last chance at becoming a world champion, something that he's never accomplished in his career. When he knocked out Matthysse, he really should have been a champion, but for some strange reason that fight was at a catchweight at 141 pounds. So officially, Matthysse has never won a world title. He's been shafted, gotten the bitter end of the stick on a couple decisions, felt he was robbed against Delvin Alexander. He had a close fight with Zab Judah. Then of course his limitations was shown in his two legitimate losses of his career. And the guys that gave him the L's were Danny Garcia and Victor Postol, both guys that provided some movement, some footwork, kept Matthysse off balance, and were able to avoid his power punches throughout most of those fights. So when it comes to his losses, movement has been his Achilles heel, his weakness. He hasn't been able to deal with boxers that provide movement. Danny Garcia outboxed him. Victor Postol kept him at the edge of his range and made him quit. Officially knocked him out in the 10th round of their fight a couple of years ago. But Kiram doesn't fight that way. He is not a mover. He is not a guy that provides angles. He is not a guy that is going to try to outbox you or try to keep you at a distance. He's an aggressive fighter. If he's going to beat Matthysse, it's going to be in a different type of style. A style that Matthysse hasn't lost in his career. He hasn't been walked down. Pervanikov attempted to do it, and that fight was very close. Could have been a draw. Matthysse got a majority decision. So Matthysse usually does well against pressure fighters, but now he's 35 years old. He's moving up in a weight class he's really never competed at. He's never really fought a legitimate welterweight in his entire career. All the guys he's fought have been smaller 140 pounders. He's never fought a guy this big, this physical, and Kiram's a really big fucking welterweight from Thailand. 25 years old. He's in his prime. He's undefeated, and he's very confident, and he looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying he's elite, but he's not a bad fighter. Pretty good fighter. He has a very sharp left jab. He likes to lead behind the jab. He walks his opponents down, but with educated precision with his jab, his punches. He's got good technique. He has good conditioning. He throws a lot of punches. He's got solid speed, and he's been knocking some guys out. Now, of course, the opponents are not a murderer's row. He hasn't exactly really fought anybody. So we really don't know how good he is, which is why he's been as high as a 10-to-1 dog in this fight. But now he's currently closing at 8-to-1. So we don't know how good he is. He hasn't really beaten anybody. He knocked out Matthysse, a former title holder, a while back. The African fighter actually decisioned him. He's fought some unknown guys making their debuts, and he was knocked down recently by some nobody in his last fight. But the guy was at least in shape, the guy that he fought, that he got knocked down, but it was a flash knockdown. He got up and he whooped the guy's ass throughout the remaining course of the fight. So he doesn't have great defense. He doesn't have great speed. There's nothing really special about him. but he's rough, he's rugged, he's tough. He likes to get in there and fight. He has a good technique, really good jab that he really tries to pick his opponents apart with. And he's a bigger, younger, fresher guy. So this is a real fight for Lucas Matthysse. And it's for a vacant WBA strap, regular strap that Lamont Peterson vacated. So Kiram, he's rated #1 by the WBA. So he's the top contender for the WBA, just below Keith Thurman. And Matthysse, this is going to be his first true welterweight that he's fought. He's a much smaller welterweight. He's only had one rehabilitation fight against a 40-pounder Emmanuel Taylor. So we're going to get a lot of answers about Matthysse in this fight Saturday night. But you just have to wonder how much he has left. Does he really want it? Does he have the hunger to compete with this young fighter who is coming from Thailand to gain a strap and to get in the line for a legitimate world title shot against Keith Thurman? It's just that Kiram, he looks hungrier, he looks fresher, he looks like he wants it more, he looks like he trains harder, he puts his punches together, punches in bunches. Matthysse, he's been through a lot of wars, has had a lot of tough fights, has questioned his desire to really box in the past, especially after getting knocked out by Postal, where he just decided not to continue. So psychologically, Matthysse may not all be fully back yet. He didn't get much resistance against Emmanuel Taylor, but this is the type of fight where I believe he's going to get plenty of resistance, to where Matthysse is going to question his psyche. Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to be in these type of fights at this age? Do I really want to dig that deep and bite on my mouthpiece to try to overcome this young fighter from Thailand who is very hungry, confident, undefeated, and he's been knocking some guys out? Nobody's, but he's been looking good in the fights that he's knocked some guys out. Breaks his opponents down, submits guys, gives them a beating before he knocks them out. So I'm intrigued by this fight. Kiram is still a significant underdog, but I think he's a live dog, and I'm going with the upset special. I think Tewa Kiram is gonna pull off a significant upset. The wager has been placed, so I'm looking forward to a decent payday on the night. I just got a feeling about this fight. I think Kiram's gonna pull off the upset. I think he'll take Matthysse into the trenches. He'll make him question his desire, his hunger. Does he really want this? Does he really want to pursue a world title, or is he just doing it for the money? He's gonna answer a lot of questions. I'm not sure about Kiram's chin. There's really a lot of unknowns about this guy, but I'm just going by what I see, how he looks, his abilities, how he trains, the momentum he's got going into this fight. He hasn't fought nobody, but he looks like a pretty damn decent prize fighter, and I think he's good enough to pull off an upset where he'll take some shots early, maybe even get knocked down early because his defense is a little shaky. But he'll get back up. He'll bleed behind the jab. He'll constantly pepper Matthysse with the jab. He's a bigger, more physical fighter. I think he's physically stronger. And he'll pummel Matthysse into the later rounds, and most likely will knock out or stop Matthysse, make him quit in the later rounds, as Kiram will upset a faded, past his prime, seen better days Lucas Matthysse. And Matthysse will go off into retirement as a fighter who never legitimately won a world title. And Kiram, I think this is his time. It's time for a new upcoming welterweight. Matthysse, he's had his time. He hasn't been able to deliver on a couple of occasions. And Kiram for the upset by late round stoppage, around 9 to 10 rounds. It'll be a really good, entertaining fight, but Kiram will outlast Matthysse. He'll show more willingness to bite down his mouthpiece. He'll show more hunger. He'll show more freshness. and youth will prevail over experience. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this fight. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.